Hello my friends, how are you doing today? I'm your Ramandeep Singh, back again with yet another reading passage, and the type of questions that we'll be dealing are heading, finding, or finding the headings. Most students find it really difficult when it comes to heading, and this particular video will really help you in understanding what things that you need to keep in your mind before you start handling such type of reading passages. And by reading minimum amount of information with accuracy, you find out the correct answer. What I always suggest that firstly look at if you've been provided with any information. As it says, paragraph A, the correct option is 3. Though it is not relevant to read this because you already have the answer, since it is the very first paragraph, I don't think that there is any harm in still reading the paragraph, or at least understanding the provided correct option, so that you could have at least an idea of this paragraph. Mutual harm. You need to very carefully understand every time you start the reading that what exactly is the meaning of the heading of that passage, so that you could understand the scope of that reading passage and realize what the writer would have written in this passage. The more you will develop this skill, the more you will achieve accuracy in reading, because by restricting yourself to the scope of the reading passage, you can understand it in a far more better way. Here the heading is mutual harm. I hope you all know what is harm and you all know what is mutual. So when two things harm each other, that would be mutual harm. But we really need to understand what he has taken into consideration while writing this particular article. If I see the answer of this particular paragraph A, answer is 3, and third option is biological warfare in the plant world. So it has restricted the scope to the natural world. We are restricted to only plants now, and in the plant world there is a war going on. That means different species of plants are bringing harm to each other. So if you still want to go ahead, just read the very first statement so you can better understand the scope of this particular reading passage. In forests and fields all over the world, plants are engaged in a deadly chemical war to suppress other plants and create conditions for their own success. See, as we all know that we just fight for survival, and it is everywhere in the animal kingdom as well as in the plant world as well. So what plants do? They produce some kind of deadly chemical to kill other plants so that they could survive. So now at least I have an idea what this passage is about. So now I will continue to read on the remaining passages and keep on finding the headings for these. The key is that I should not be reading the entire passage. Every time you deal with the headings, try to read only one statement and figure out the answer from that particular one, because the very first statement of every passage is more like a definition of this passage. So by reading that, you can get an idea up to a great extent that what would be there in the entire paragraph. Similarly, if you want, you can add another statement that should be the very last statement. So this way you can get an idea of the entire passage, and without consuming too much time, you could figure out the correct answer. However, it is always good to go through all the options once, so that as soon as you read the other side, you should be knowing that there is some option like that on the other side. Let me quickly go with you. One is, what are metabolites? Anyway, it is a noun. I need not to worry about what it is. The negative effects of allelopathy. So what are the negative effects of this? Biological warfare, already given. Why we cannot use allelopathic chemicals at present? So something is stopping us from using it at the moment. What is? So there should be a paragraph which just be describing what exactly this thing is. The reason why plants compete with other plants. So obviously it has something to do with the survival. I think very much it is a statement that we have just read in the paragraph A, but the writer feels that third is the better option. The effects of allelopathy and realization of its possible uses. The effects and realization, two different things are there. How could we use allelopathic chemicals in farming? So its usage in farming. special example of allelopathic plant. So specific example, if you remember in another reading, I have shared that if there is an option like this, always look for a paragraph if there is an example, because for that paragraph this would definitely be the correct option. So let's go ahead and start reading paragraph B. The phenomenon by which an organism produces one or more chemical that influence the growth, survival, and reproduction of other organisms is called allelopathy. Do you think that you can answer by reading this one statement only? If yes, then go ahead. Absolutely. Your answer is correct if you say fifth, because this statement justifies that this is the answer, because the next statement begins with the pronoun these chemicals. That means there is a further detail of the same information. However, I'm just confined to what is allelopathy. Reading passage C, let's see what we could figure out from the very first statement. Allelopathy can be observed in many aspects of plant ecology. It can affect where certain species of plant grow, the fertility, there are lots of commas. So it can affect, if I'm not wrong, there was something related to effect. Yes, in the 7th paragraph, the effects of allelopathy. However, there is another thing, realization of its possible uses. Could I find anything related to realization? And yes, there is something in the last statement. It was also realized that some species could have beneficial effect. So both the things matches here. The first one is it can affect, that means it has some effects, and then there are realizations as well. And that is enough to read about in this passage, and I would go with the correct option, that is 7th. D paragraph says, today, research is focused on the effect of weed on crops, the effect of crops on weeds, and how certain crops affect other crops. Agricultural scientists are exploring the use of allelochemicals to regulate growth and to act as natural herbicides, thereby promoting sustainable agriculture. I read because it was quite interesting to understand, because I hope you all know what are weeds. Weeds are the unwanted plants in our farms or even at our gardens, but here we are talking about agriculture, farming only. So the unwanted plants are the weeds. So researchers are focusing on this particular thing. However, I could see one interesting thing that I was looking for. It says, for example, a small fast-growing tree found in Central America, sometimes called the miracle tree, contain a poison that slows the growth of other trees. So this paragraph says today's scientists are working on this particular thing, and with example it has tried to exemplify that which particular tree. In fact, in the further part as well, there are more different type of species of like blue stem grass and many weeds. So it's all about the example of different poisonous chemicals released by different plants or trees. So the correct answer is fantastic 9. Specific examples of allelopathic plants. So examples was a plural, here it's a example, but further there are more, like production of rice, and I said blue stem grass, so it became examples. So that's why this is the correct answer. Further, paragraph E. There may be at least 3 applications of allelopathy to agriculture. Wow. So it's talking about 3 applications, and the very next word is firstly, and if you just scan through, you would see secondly, and then you would see finally as well. So it's quite easy to handle out that it's talking about 3 applications in the agriculture, and the correct answer is definitely 8th answer. How could we use allelopathic chemicals in farming? Finally, despite, I hope you all are aware with this connecting word despite, that negates the information. It says, despite the promising uses of allelopathic chemicals, agriculture scientists are still cautious. Still, till now they are cautious. That means they are not taking the step ahead to move and use this. They are cautious about it. So if you read this particular information, what you would choose as a correct answer? Fantastic. Fourth is the correct answer. Why we cannot use allelopathic chemicals at present? Because it says still. Still means today, till now, and that is the correct answer. I hope you follow this interesting information with me, and I say you goodbye right now, and I will catch you very shortly with more videos on handling paragraph headings and much more related to reading. I, Ramandeep Singh, say you goodbye till now, and I will catch you very shortly. Bye-bye.